Administrator.
We're left.
Who would that be?
Cole.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And how in the hell shit ended up upstairs? I should have come here.
I can, how are you? No, it's, Lisa.
Oh, okay.
Lisa, yeah.
This is email you sent it.
Friday.
It's on Jasmine's desk.
Hello.
Our
Would
camera's
you ever
live.
send me some
Hello,
stuff,
hello.
like your presentation?
I thought it was on.
I never got it.
Oh, yes, you did, like.
We're live. Hey.
How are you?
This council meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of April 3rd, 2023 was included in the list of meetings published in the Courier News and Star Ledger. Notice of this meeting was also placed on the bulletin board at Borough Hall and announced on the borough's website. A copy of this notice is available to the public, and a copy of the statement shall be included in the minutes of this meeting. Mayor Dan O'Sullivan.
Here.
Council members, Granville Brady,
Here.
Tom Mitchell,
Here.
Gina Stravic,
Here.
Roger Vroom,
Here.
Fred Weed is excused this evening, Randy Pitts.
Here. Please join me in the flag salute and remain standing for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With great sadness that we note the passing of Patricia Carmack McNally. Pat was a 1959 graduate of Somerville High School. She attended St. Peter's Hospital School of Nursing and had degrees from Trenton State College in nursing. She was an employee of Franklin Township Board of Education for a number of years, Branchburg Board of Education for a number of years, and she worked here in Somerville for our Board of Education for a number of years. I had the pleasure of working with her early in my career. She was also a member of the Somerville Borough Council, sat in this in these chambers from 1979 through 1981. She served on the Somerville Board of Health, and probably more importantly, she was a volunteer and a fundraiser for just about every charitable organization here in the town. So, Mayor and Council would like to join the Somerville community in remembering the legacy and the accomplishments of Patricia Carmack McNally. Thank you. We have one set of minutes from March 20th. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Council members, Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell, Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yeah. And I believe we have no departmental notices tonight. Committee reports. We'll start with Councilman Mitchell.
No report tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Rowe.
You'll notice on our agenda, we have a boat that is being donated from the county. I had the opportunity to go out and take a look at the boat with members of the rescue squad and the fire department. And it needs a little bit of TLC, but it certainly is going to be a great tool to use in the event of a high water urban flooding situation. They're very generous, and I know they were getting rid of it and donating it to us. Well, actually, we're buying it for $1, but it will definitely be a great addition. It is a inflatable dirigible, so that means we can deflate it and inflate it as necessary. Everything looks to be in good working order, and looking forward to having it and sticking everyone's logos on there and using it in the event, hopefully that we don't need it, but in the event of a high water or swift water urban flooding, we have it. So we're looking forward to using that as a stopgap until we're able to secure some newer apparatus to help out our team. We are currently in the process of training more members of the Swiftwater Rescue Team. There'll be 2 trainings that are going to be done in the middle of this month. And we also have the Rescue Task Force, which is also in the process of training. The Rescue Task Force steps in the event of a mass casualty event. And so there's pictures on social media right now of folks in some vests and some helmets getting ready in the event of a really terrible event occurring. But it's always better to be prepared. It's always better to be ready than having to worry about getting the training afterwards. So we're working on training Rescue Task Force, which is a joint task force between the Rescue Squad and the Fire Department as well as police. We're also doing, again, the Swift Water, which is Rescue Squad, Technical Rescue, and the Fire Department. So there's lots of good things going on in the borough, getting our members prepared to keep Somerville safe.
Any estimate on what the repairs might be? This might be a good opportunity for a fundraiser. I know the squad has a fundraiser coming up. Maybe we could put something on our website. And I think people are more inclined to donate for a specific purpose rather than just a general donation. If we had a fund maybe set up that would be sort of dedicated to that. I should talk to the leadership and see if that's something they would like to do. Because it's been my experience, at least in the the charities that I like to support, that if there's a specific project or initiative, I'm inclined to maybe be a little more generous for a specific. I'm thinking of Children's Specialized Hospital as an example. They send a letter each year, and they give you a price for each piece of equipment that they're looking for. So if you donate $100, you buy a wheelchair, and they've been very successful with that kind of concept. So run it by the leadership and see what they think.
Sounds good.
All right, Dr. Brady.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Tonight we're going to have our budget introduction, and that's going to give us an analysis of where we're going financially this year. It's important to look at, however, where we've been financially, and thanks to the work of Paige in the finance department, you received a report of the collections rate that we have had since 1990. The lowest year was 1993, where we only collected 94.14% of what we billed out. And since 2014, we broke the 98% record. And this year, I'm pleased to report that we have collected 98.75%, which is the highest amount that we've ever had since we've been keeping these records. And I want to congratulate us and the taxpayers of Somerville. The second point I wanted to bring out is legislation called the Elections Transparency Act that I don't know if it's been signed yet, but it's been promoted by the governor. And the Elections Transparency Act could affect us because if it passes, it will eliminate the local pay-to-play laws, which are designed to keep large contributors from getting jobs and contracts, and also allows county political committees to set up so-called housekeeping accounts. It also is going to change the way the election commissioners elect. It's Election Law Enforcement Commission. Right now, it is determined that the Senate appoints them. From now on, if this goes through, the provision is that would allow the governor to directly appoint members of elect. So, Jeremy, if you have an opportunity, keep an eye on it, because we may have to change our ordinance related to pay-to-play. You may recall that I believe we have a $300 threshold, and if this is going to be negated by statute, we would have to also take that into account. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
The Environmental Commission is tonight drawing, they have a multitude of candidates for their community garden beds. They're doing a lottery drawing tonight, so we'll see who the lucky winners are later on. They have the Earth Day scheduled for April 22nd, as previously reported, 9 o'clock at the Somerville High School. There'll be a green fair with different booths and vendors. There will be the Department of Works there with the cleanup bags and equipment and free goodies, and we'll also be having tree seedling distribution. So that is April 22nd, 9 a.m. at the Somerville High School. On April 15th, if you're interested in attending a water cleanup, the Raritan Headwaters, a local group, is working on cleaning up riverbeds. They'll be over at our area by Southside on April 15th from 9 to noon. And lastly, two things. The Environmental Commission is also working with the Wallace House. They have interest in gardens there. So we're working with possibly starting with an herb garden that would benefit the Wallace House and maybe be a site for outreach for the schools and scout groups as well. Also, please know that there is a form on the website to report potholes. It enables a resident to complete online and transmit the report to the Department of Public Works to perform the needed repairs. So please be sure to use that if you have any concerns about road issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Your Honor. I want to update everyone on what our community policing unit has been doing over the past month. The CP unit has been participating in weekly lunches with students at Vanderveer. The students, they have a reward program there where the students receive Vanderveer bucks for good deeds that they do. After a set number of points, the students choose various activities to do as a treat. Many of the students have been picking lunch with the officer. The officers have been having lunch. Those officers are Venus Padea, Nicole, and Ryan. Other community activities that they've been engaging in with the community. They did an internet and social media safety presentation at Somerville Middle School for the 7th and 8th grade students. They've also done an alcohol awareness, something that my son participated in, but wasn't drinking. They used the drunk goggles, and they have the kids walk with the goggles on. My son did pass with flying colors. Very proud of him. They've also done street survival. It's a course on some basic self-defense techniques for juniors and seniors, girls, that are heading off to college. And they also have done something with the Somerville Civic League. They hosted the corned beef dinner and had over 70 residents of the senior citizen complex. And just recently, over the weekend, MCV approached the community police unit and asked them to do a mobile inspection pop-up at Exchange Field. This last Friday. Turned out very successful, and they had over 90 vehicles getting inspected. Also, as a reminder, spring is here, and driver and pedestrian traffic has increased all throughout our town. Please pay attention to your speed and always be aware of our crosswalks. We also ask our pedestrians to make sure it's safe when using the crosswalks. We need everyone to work together towards complete safety. And always remember, Somerville, you drive 25. In Councilman Weed's absence, I also have some recreation announcements. The rec department is accepting registrations for the following spring programs. NJ Santos Rush Youth Soccer Clinics, age 4 to 7, waitlist only. Youth tennis lessons on Monday or Wednesday afternoons, grades K through 6. Open wrestling practice sessions on Thursday nights, grades K through 12. And adult pickleball lessons on Tuesdays or Sundays. Upcoming events: inaugural Battle of the Paddles pickleball tournament on June 3rd. Registrations will be open at 9 a.m. on April 3rd for residents only. Non-residents may register beginning on June 10th. And save the date for the 32nd annual Family Fun Ride prior to the tour of Somerville on Monday, May 29th. For more information, please go to our Borough website. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Following up on Drive 25, I'll be meeting with RideWise this week to develop some public information materials. I'll have more to report on that initiative at our next meeting. In addition to the Earth Day on the 22nd, we have the second annual townwide swap event. That will be Friday, 21st, Saturday the 22nd, Sunday the 23rd of April. We're asking people to put out at their curb good, usable hand-me-downs that still have some value. It's not it's not just they throw it out because it's broken. You want to keep stuff that might have a second home somewhere out of the landfill. So if you have, your great-grandmother's lamp that you just don't like anymore and it still works, certainly put that out. It's an initiative started by one of our high school students. I'm glad to see it's back for a second year. Please take advantage of that. And the last thing I have is not so much a committee report as a message to our community. I'm sure you, as I and my family, watched the news from Nashville, Tennessee last week with just disbelief and abject horror that once again violence has visited a school and a community in our great country. Just as a retired teacher, as a parent, a grandparent, just you know your kids better than anyone, but just please be in tune with them. If they have questions or concerns, and you don't feel qualified to answer those questions, lean on the school staff. We have a tremendous support system here in the school. The hospital has many mental health resources. Richard Hall, other county facilities. When I started teaching 50 years ago, I never thought that kids would have to go through active shooter drills. My granddaughter's talking about it. She's in first grade, and it's just very sobering. And again, just love your kids, because our collective hearts go out not only to Nashville, but to the 60-some communities that have been through this for the first of the year, and it's only April. So again, just a message from the leadership of the town that we talk about speeding and other things, but that we can control to some extent. Just love your kids and be there for them, and reach out for help if you feel you need it. Thank you. All right, on that sobering note, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of running the town. I did a second grade presentation at Vancouver School last year, and I asked the students how much money they thought it took to run the town of Somerville. And none of them were close. Some of them were very low, and some of them were extremely high, but tonight we will introduce what it really takes to run our 2 square miles. So I'll turn it over to our finance chair, Dr. Brady, Ms. Elster, and Mr. Sluka to walk us through Budget 101.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is our annual budget introduction. Couple of things happened that you might be aware of. First of all, the Finance Committee consists of Kevin, Paige, Councilman Fred Weed, and myself. We start meeting in the fall and start to plan the budget. This year, however, we had decided not to go for a very large capital budget because we knew we'd be coming close to our cap. Therefore, we did not require or ask the department heads to submit a capital budget. The capital ordinance you're going to vote on later on is pretty much strictly for road repairs, and that's part of our ongoing road repair program. So without further ado, Paige is our entertainment for the night, please. And she has been practicing, right? Da-da-da-da.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, as Dr. Brady said, I am here as the Chief Financial Officer to present the budget. The Finance Committee worked very hard and is very proud of this budget because even though we were faced with a large increase in appropriations, we were still able to keep the tax rate stable with a very slight increase. To take a page out of the mayor's book, we did sharpen our pencils and we worked very hard on keeping the existing funding intact for the existing services that we have. This budget was very challenging because we wanted to strike a balance between the rising costs due to a 6% inflation rate in the state of New Jersey while minimizing the impacts impact that would have on the residents of Somerville. One way we were able to do that was we are very fortunate to have new development projects in Somerville, the pilots. They increase our revenue and our surplus. So, we were able to fight off a substantial increase, tax increase, because we have that revenue coming in. Other towns in our state are definitely not as fortunate as we are, as talking to my colleagues at different events. Some of the highlights of this budget include fully funding the capital ordinance, which is primarily roads, and also the grant funding from the American Rescue Plan Act to fund the Civic Center and Public Shelter that's being built right now. I will be happy to answer any questions that the council has. We have set up an email address for any questions that the public has so that we can address them at the public hearing. And we'll present that at the end of the presentation. So let's go through the budget. Okay. So Dr. Brady already told you who is part of the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee works very hard throughout the whole year on not just the budget, but all financial issues. And, transfers if need be, sometimes, an emergency arises and we have to take money from one appropriation and put it into another appropriation. So we evaluate that all year long. This presentation includes the following budgets: the current fund municipal budget, the parking utility budget, the sewer utility budget, and the capital budget. These are the anticipated revenues for 2023. They're located on sheets 4 through 6 in the budget document. We are only allowed to anticipate what we collect in the prior year. That's by law. So, for example, interest on investments was down last year due to lower interest rates. So the interest rates, as they increase, will, if we receive additional revenue, will increase our surplus. We also received an increase over last year's state aid. The Municipal Relief Fund Act came out right after we adopted our budget last year, so we were allowed to anticipate it as revenue this year for $77,000. And then the state increased everybody's, all municipalities' state aid. Ours was $10,000 more in state aid. So that the $10,000 should stay static because we've had the same state aid for so long. So next year it should probably be about the same. All right, getting into the pilots. Okay, so we have, pilots are payment in lieu of taxes. There are two types of pilots that support our budget. The first is the redevelopment pilots. Those are the new developments you see all over town. And the other are the other contributions that are agreements made in lieu of taxes. The ones that are the agreements are like the senior center building or the social services building. We have the reserve for the ERG, which was the sacred shop rate. That was a percentage of the sales tax that was used to pay off the debt service from the very first agreement. Those are things that we can anticipate as revenue, but they are pilots because they're payment in lieu of taxes. Any of the pilots on this page that you see that are in blue are all new pilot revenue that we're receiving this year.
The RWJ airspace was the sale of the airspace between Steeplechase and the hospital. That is about $300,000 a year, but we give credit to taxes paid on certain entities that are tax-generating entities within Steeplechase. So the net on that is $225,000, but we actually do get the $300,000.
Thank you. Could you go back to the slide?
Sure.
Two questions. One, it says pilots that are being anticipated in 2023 budget. So is this list that?
Yes,
And then the other contributions, Robert Wood Johnson is paying $345,000 a year.
so that's the bed tax law. So yes, they are paying that, and then they're also paying the $225,000 for the airspace that.
So all those are annual
That's correct,
fees paid.
yes.
Thank you.
Some other important notes about pilots. This year, our total pilot revenue anticipated is $3,589,000. And in 2022, the development pilots generated almost $339,000 more than if taxed by regular conventional taxation. On occasion, we receive some questions about pilots and how they work. A pilot is on the improvement portion of the assessment. The land taxes from the prior year are credited against the pilot. The borough receives a negotiated percentage of the gross revenue for the development, and that's regulated by law. The county receives 5% of that, also regulated by law. By state statute, as I said, the land taxes are credited against the pilot payment, and the school's budget is adopted by the Board of Education. The school receives 100% of its adopted budget. Whatever they can go up, they receive. So now this brings us to fund balance. Fund balance, or surplus, another word for fund balance, is used to support budgets. We are often asked how surplus is created and why. So to explain it, revenues realized above the amount anticipated is surplus. The borough can use surplus funds in the to support the budget. This year, we're using $2,750,000 in the current fund budget to support the current fund budget, and that's on sheet 4 of the budget document. We're also using $500,000 in surplus to support the capital improvement fund to fully fund the road projects for 2023, to not incur any debt. These are our statutory employee costs, which include Social Security and pensions, and they total $2,021,378.
I wanted to also comment that any monies that we receive this year that are not anticipated, for example, we have more pilot revenue than we anticipated or what have you, may be put into surplus so that it's not, it doesn't disappear into a void. It becomes part of our surplus.
That's a good point, and that's what we're funding the capital projects with, rather than incurring debt. That's the goal. These are our utilities. They're shown on sheet 17 of the budget. They're just shy of $1 million in utility costs. This is the 2023 insurance expenses. Employee group health benefits had a very large increase of $285,000 this year due to the state health benefit program. We are currently evaluating other insurance options for next year to lower the costs. Insurance expenses total almost $2.5 million. It is worth mentioning that we are part of a joint insurance fund, which pools insurance costs to share with other members to lower the risk exposure, ultimately lowering the cost to the taxpayers. So we pay lower insurance when we're part of this group because of the exposure. So this is a look inside our debt service. This is located on sheet 27 of the budget. The total debt service is $2.7 million. And it includes payments of bond principal and interest on bonds, infrastructure bank principal and interest, which was the Green Scene program, and Somerset County Improvement Authority principal and interest.
How much is our outstanding debt?
$24 million.
24 million.
This is our operational costs. This is summarized, and this can be found on sheet 17A of the budget. These are our grants. The revenues and appropriations offset one another. The new grants total $1.3 million. They include the American Rescue Plan Act for the Civic Center, outfitting of equipment, opioid education, our recycling tonnage grant, body armor, youth services grant, and youth leadership grant. We also have 2022 grants that we received after the budget adoption as Chapter 159's in last year's budget that are being implemented in this year's budget. They include the left pool renovation, and the tree planting grant. We lost some trees during Ida, and this is giving us the opportunity to replace some of those trees. Chambres Park improvements, Borough Hall exterior renovations, and additional funding for the solar farm. Some of the cost impacts this year that we really had to be aware of is the continued contract negotiations with the PBA and SOA, the 21.6% increase to health benefits, 11% increase to police pension, and the 5.5% increase to the public employment pension. So what's new? Well, we are collecting an additional $1.5 million in pilot revenue that we didn't have last year, so that helped a little bit. And then we are again doing the Civic Center, through the ARPA grant, which is American Rescue Plan. The emergency services facility, the construction has begun on that. A lot of dirt around. And the sale of the sewer system to American Water is closing in September, and that's for $7 million. The proceeds of the sewer sale will go to pay off debt per the statute. It will pay off the sewer debt first, and then the general debt.
Is the sewer debt included in the 24 million outstanding debt that you mentioned before?
It is, yes. That's off the annual debt statement. So understanding the budget. Appropriations minus revenues equals taxation. How does that translate to property taxes, and what does that mean to you? The average home in Somerville is $275,000. the way you get that is, that calculation is the residential net taxable value divided by the number of residential parcels, calculates to $202 for an average home. That translates to the municipal portion of the tax bill being $3,088, and a municipal increase of approximately $20.62.
Major, let's go back to the average home at $275. That's the assessed value. In light of the current real estate market, the market values are increasingly higher.
Right.
And I know we haven't had a reevaluation in years, but I suspect at some point the County Board of Taxation will start discussions about that.
Yes, Your Honor, I did have a conversation with the chairman, and he said that we're probably close to it, but don't do anything yet. And Kevin was very happy to hear that. So we're probably looking at a couple of years away to do a reassessment.
And unfortunately, that's a cost that's mandated by the county but funded by us, unfortunately. And just as a general rule of thumb, if we get a townwide reassessment, we're looking at approximately 1/3 of the houses would go up in assessment, which would mean that the tax rate would drop a concurrent amount. About 1/3 would stay about the same. I mean, your assessment would go up, but you would be in relationship to your neighbor's properties. And then 1/3 would go down. The assessed value would go up for everybody, but your actual net tax will change. I hate to say minimally, because there are individual cases where you've done a lot of improvements or your previous assessment was wrong. But generally, by law, we cannot use an assessment to raise taxes for the whole pot. We can only use the new assessed value. If your house doubles in assessment, your tax rate ideally would drop in half. So right now we're at about 3.7. The new rate could conceivably be 2%, but on a higher amount. So we're not making any decisions yet, but we are aware that at some point, what is it, Kevin, 60%?
We've received notice already. Generally, historically, my rule of thumb is until we have to do an assessment, I don't talk about it.
Yeah. But I just want the public to know that it's not something that we're going to get blindsided with, but it's not something we have to act on immediately. So we'll keep the public informed, of course, because it takes a while to do it right.
Well, the market's got to stabilize too, right? So you don't want to be in a position of doing an assessment at the height of the market, because then it results in tax appeals. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
And the last time we did a reassessment, our tax assessor was very pleased at the small number of appeals we got, because it was done, first of all, by a very good company, but it was also done carefully and thoroughly so that the numbers of appeals were minimal. You have to have a reason for an appeal. You can't just say, my taxes are too high. It's math. So the last time we did it right. I don't want to, create panic that it's time now, but we know, with the trend that it's going to come in the next couple of years, but we will handle it in our usual, competent and efficient way, and we'll keep the public appraised.
Yeah, think of the taxes as being like water in a pool, okay? Everybody's got to put some water in the pool, but some people put more water in and other people put less. But as long as that pool maintains a level, which is what we need to operate the government, then the appropriations come out of that pool, but more water has to be put in. So it's not quite as egregious as it may sound. The other thing is, the pilot revenue really is not subject to tax appeals or any of that kind of thing. So there's a certain stability that we have built into the whole system. So it's not to worry if we have a downturn. We have an upturn, then that's fine too, but we're not going out and spending money wildly.
Okay, so this is a look at the last 10 years of tax increases. And as you can see that we are, we've stabilized our tax rate. Our tax rate this year is less than last year. So, you know, that means that we were, even due with the high inflation rate, we were still able to do that, which is amazing, I have to say. So it is stabilized. And we continue, our goal is to continue to do that.
You have four crazy people who have fun doing this, right, Dave?
In 2022, the tax levy was $43,679,000. Of that, 58% of that was the school, 30% was the borough, and 12% was the county. We show 22 because the 23 tax levy is not finalized until July. The borough collects all of the taxes for all the public entities, and the tax collection rate in 22, as Dr. Brady mentioned before, was 98.7%. Moving to our parking utility, which is the 7th year of our parking utility. Our total budget is $891,000. It is a self-liquidating utility, which means that the revenues support the appropriations, and there's no taxation. So it supports itself. The same thing with the utility, with the sewer utility.
Could you go back to that?
Sure.
So, is there revenues minus expenses on this, or?
So the revenues equal the $891,000, and the appropriations equal that as well.
So it's an even?
Yes. That's what self-liquidating means, that your revenues and your expenses equal the same thing.
I thought this was an area where we surplus.
We do have surplus in the parking utility, but we don't need to use the surplus because we have the revenues from the users supporting it. So the surplus will be used for probably capital projects, to do parking lots and things like that, or whatever, the parking committee deems that they need to do. So we put capital improvement money in here, the 125, for a project. Can you remember what lot we're doing?
We're doing lot 6.
Lot 6, okay.
Yeah, we really don't make a profit in the sense that, hey, look how much more we could make if we quadrupled the parking fees. The idea of the parking utility is, as Paige said, it's self-liquidating. The utilities revenue should equal the utilities appropriations, and the capital improvement fund just makes the utility more viable for people, better parking lots, meters that work, and what have you. And yeah, everybody says something's wrong, but the bottom line is we've come a long way, and this utility is really our way of doing it without actually looking at the taxpayer in Somerville to fund it.
That's the whole idea, is the users pay for it, the utility. Right?
And it's the same case in the sewer utility. The total budget was $2,690,000. We did use a little surplus to support that, including the revenues include the user fees, they include connection fees, interest, and then on the other side, you have your salary and wages and other expenses, and the biggest piece of that is the Somerset Raritan Valley Sewerage Authority. We also are funding an ordinance to clean up any debt that we had that was not actually debt yet, it was just authorized, so that all of the proceeds would go to just pay off any bond debt that was already on books. And that can be found on sheets 31 through 33 on the budget document. This also, very important, sale to American Water is closing on September 30th. This is a 9-month sewer budget because we are closing on that day. So American Water will take over for the last quarter of this year. And this is the 2023 capital budget. These are the roads that we are doing. It's $1.3 million in roads. Reed Hill, Culver, East Cadillac, Safe Streets to Transit. Some of it's DOT funded at $793,000. Some of it was funded through the Developer Infrastructure Trust Fund, which is monies that we received from the developers that were doing the pilots. And we have a little bit of money there to use on infrastructure projects throughout the town. So we're using some of that money for design costs on curbs and aprons on some of these roads, and then American Water is also going to be paving those roads because they're doing work on these roads. And we're trying to do road projects in conjunction with the utilities like PSE&G and American Water to get the best cost, efficiency out of it. And we are funding the roads $500,000 through the Capital Improvement Fund. And then we're also funding curbs and aprons of $100,000. We're increasing the West End hose roof replacement for $60,000. And we are matching the grant that we received for the exterior of Borough Hall, the renovations to the exterior of Borough Hall, and this is $140,000. That brings us to the end of the budget presentation. The paper copies of this budget and related documents are available by contacting the Borough Clerk's office between the hours of 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. It can also be viewed online at somervillenj.org/finance. If any members of the public have any questions, they can go to council meeting at somervillenj.org, as we encourage that. We are having a public hearing on May 1st as part of our statutory responsibility to the budget for the taxpayers of Somerville. So we would like to hear what their questions are. We would like to be able to address them. So if people would like to ask those questions, they can send it to this email.
Please, I have one more question. You said that the $20 was a average increase to our residents would be on the borough portion of the budget. Do we have any idea what to expect from the Board of Ed in the county?
So we typically go with 2% with the county and the school usually too when we're estimating. We have not heard what the school is going up. I know they did have some surplus that they received additional surplus last year and the year before that. They said they were using it for capital projects, so not to offset to the taxpayers, but that's not our budget, so we can't really. I do believe the matter.
Your Honor, do you want to entertain any questions?
To answer hopefully answer one of your questions, Councilwoman, the Board of Ed has a budget hearing similar to what we do. And it's traditionally toward the end of April. I don't have the date for it, but I've been attending along with Councilman Brady, so I'll let you know when that public presentation is. their impact, since they're probably double, if you look at the pie chart, they're roughly double what we are. Traditionally, their increases have been about 2 to 3 times what ours are. They've been fairly low the last couple of years too. Their state aid did increase dramatically again this year, so I'm curious to go to their meeting and find out what their plans are, because they've gotten, over the last 5 years, a substantial increase in sort of catch-up aid, because we were underfunded for many, many years, as were a lot of the communities. So when I get the information from their CFO is doing that presentation, I'll let you know. And hopefully you can join us there. You'll see their breakdown and their impact. Because, let's face it, people, look at their little envelope that they get in July, and their attention is drawn to the little box in the lower right-hand corner, and it's total tax. And they don't. I'd like to think they understand that pie chart, because we try to make that as visible as possible. Kevin, could you put that pie chart out and compare all like you've done in the past?
Oh, sure. Yep.
Um,
Yeah, we will, when the others, when they strike their numbers,
Yeah.
we'll do the 2023.
And just so everyone knows, the Board of Education will be having their hearing for their budget, the 2023-2024 school year on April 25th. That's at 6:30 p.m. and that will be at in their conference room at 51 West Cliff Street. They have already introduced their budget. That was introduced at their last public meeting, which was in the last month. So they do have an idea of what it's going to look like as far as what's to be raised by taxes. I don't know what that breaks down to for the individual home, but they did introduce it, and so again, their meeting will be on the 25th, 6:30 p.m., 51 West Cliff, in their conference room for the budget hearing.
Thanks, Roger.
Yep.
Thank you, Paige. I have worked with finance people for a long time, and she's all right. She always makes it look like we're not spending as much as I thought we would.
And I'd like to just finish up real
Hey,
quick.
you want a question for Bob?
Before I sat in this seat, I had the, fortune or misfortune to be on the finance committee for a long time. And a lot of work behind the scenes, goes into it. To get to the final number with costs that we don't control. I mean, the Blue Cross is one prime example. We want to offer good benefits to our employees because it's to our benefit to hire good people and to retain good people. Unfortunately, we get a mandated increase from Trenton with no concurrent funding to support it. So it's left to us to scramble and pay for the services that we all want and that the public has come to expect. And to bring a budget in, a $24 million budget, and ask for $20 on that mythical average home is an excellent job. So
Thank you,
I think you saw the chart over the last 10 years, and we've not been flat. It's never going to be flat. Anyone at this table that tells you the taxes will go down, it's just not realistic. We have so many mandated costs that realistically, what did we figure, Grant, our first year? 5% is what we can control? Something
Probably
like
that.
But
Our biggest contributors, if you will, not only the state of New Jersey, but also we deal with many labor unions. They're contractual. We have to deal with that. We have contracts with other entities. We buy things. We have to make sure that we pay our bills. And it's very much like trying to juggle 20 balls in air when you've only got 2 hands. And the biggest issue that I see is simply controlling and maintaining what we've decided to do, and that's part of the whole voucher system, which we didn't go into today, but we actually have to physically approve every single voucher twice a month that goes out. Without council approval and without finance department approval, that funds are available. So that keeps us on an even keel, plus we have a company that does all of our computer work. In other words, every time we spend money, it's deducted from that budget. So we know at a moment's notice where we stand. So it works out pretty well, I have to admit.
So
Who
Kevin,
do
we'll have
we
our,
work with now on that? Is that Vital?
For,
The
Edmonds.
Edmonds, right, we have Edmonds who handles the budget. Well,
even
thanks very
though,
much. Anything else?
for introduction, I don't have to have a public comment, but I will entertain a motion for public comment.
I would move. Second. Yes.
Councilmembers Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
I ask the public to comment only, questions will be answered at our next meeting. Hearing no comment, I'll make a motion to close.
So moved.
Second?
Councilmembers Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Now I need a motion to introduce as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmembers Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
All right, so Kevin, this will be on for hearing on May 1st, not our next meeting, but two subsequent meetings,
Correct.
7 PM here. Public, if you have any questions about the budget as presented tonight, you can direct those questions to Kevin or Paige.
You can, and you know, Councilman Stravic and I had the conversation this week. That's why we put the email address on there,
Mhm.
so that if folks couldn't make the meeting, or they didn't want to make, or they wanted to send something out, you know, at their leisure, they can just send us a question, we'll be able to answer it, or if they have comments as well.
So May 1st in this room at 7 PM or on Zoom. And we might have an indication from the schools at that point as well. County is probably going to be later, as they usually are, because they get state aid that comes in later too. So we probably won't strike a final tax rate till July 1 maybe.
yeah, that's that one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We have three ordinances for introduction only. 2703, amending chapter 102116 of land use, entitled Solar System, consisting of changes to the solar panel location, electricity generation, and non-residential applications. Can I have a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmembers Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
And that will be hearing,
That will not be on the next meeting because it's got to go to the planning board.
that's right. All right. So we're probably looking at May 1st for that as well. Okay.
I also talked to Kevin about this. I think it needs to be looked at by the environmental commission.
course.
I think there's some environmental concerns with this.
Yeah, I did, thank you, I did share that with them, the ordinance.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a month. Okay, good. 2704, amending chapter 102, section 115, entitled Special Improvement District, specifically entitling review required by the Architecture Review Board to eliminate the need for sign applicant and solely requires a sign review to receive approval from the planning board. Have a motion for introduction.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmembers Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
And 2705, Kevin, will that be ready for?
You know, I think all three of these are not up to next meeting. I think
Okay,
they're on the
that's
following.
2705, amending ordinance 2676, chapter 166, section 47 of the Borough Code, changing, including Schedule 6, trucks over 4 tons excluded. Motion for introduction.
So moved.
Second?
Councilmembers Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
The next two ordinances for hearing and adoption, we'll take each one individually with its own public hearing. 2698, an ordinance to exceed the 2023 municipal budget appropriation limits to establish a cap bank. Motion for a public hearing.
So moved?
Second.
Council members Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Hearing no public comment, take a motion to close.
So moved.
Second?
Council members Granville Brady, Tom Mitchell, Gina
Yes.
Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Motion for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Ordinance 2702, an ordinance providing funding for various capital purposes for the Borough of Somerville and appropriating $1,668,800 for such purpose. Motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Second.
Council members Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Hearing no public comment, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Council members Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Motion for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
That usually takes 21 days for those funds to be available. Kevin,
20.
after it's published.
20 days. Yep.
20? Okay, good. All right, we're at the open public meeting part. Motion, yes, motion to open to the public.
Second?
Council members Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yeah.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Session is open. Please step forward. Name and address for the record.
Hi, Margaret Weinberger, 42 North Meadow Street, Somerville, New Jersey. The first thing that I'd like to say is I'd like to commend all of you for the work that you do for our beautiful town of Somerville, and to have almost 99% tax rate collected. I think you should all pat yourselves on the back, because it shows that people in this town love this town and they're willing to pay their taxes for the services that we get. And I appreciate the work that you all do, and I know that there are many, many people in Somerville that appreciate all the work that you do. The second thing is that I heard tonight about the website. You can go on the website and put in if you have a pothole in your neighborhood. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's a way to communicate with the community, and more public interaction like this is phenomenal. And the third thing I'd like to say is thank you to our President Biden for coming up with the act to give money to all the communities in this country, and that our community took advantage and got money from the government to pay for some of the things that we need to pay for. We can only thank the administration and this administration for your work. So I'm here to say thank you to all of you for the work that you do. Thank you.
Motion to close public?
So moved.
Second?
Council members Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell, Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
I would follow up Ms. Weinberger's comments by thanking the public for paying your taxes. We get the kudos for the percentage, but it's the moms and dads and aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas that write the checks that pay the taxes. So we've come a long way with tax collection, because unfortunately we have to set aside 100% of the taxes. So we have a line item in the budget called uncollected taxes. Reserved for uncollected taxes, and it's probably about $1 million.
It's 2 million.
2 million now. So if we collected 100%, we could eliminate that line, but life happens to people. But for the most part, we thank you for paying your bills on time. Well, we have a series of consent resolutions. Are there any that council would like to discuss?
You have like 124.
127?
All right, I'll run through the rest. $123 is approving the 78th annual tour of Somerville Bike Race on Memorial Day, May 29th. 125, authorizing the clerk to execute a contract of the sale of 52 Fairview Avenue, Block 51, Lot 14. 126, authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract to T&M Associates for the 2023 Safe Streets application. 128, awarding Contract to American Pool for pool management operations. 129, amending a resolution awarding a contract to Colliers Engineering, formerly Mazer Consulting, for the 2019 Transit Village DOT Award. 130, accepting the resignation of Lorraine Patel from the Somerville Board of Health and thanking her for her service. 131, approving Connor Spots to be hired as a seasonal laborer at an hourly rate of $17 for the Public Works Department, effective April 10th. 132, approving tax overpayment for 18 Davenport Street. 133, authorizing the sale of surplus property, being a 2013 Ford Taurus police cruiser. 134, authorizing temporary appropriations for the 2023 operating budget. 135, appointing Kevin Slook and Brian O'Neill as deputy OEM coordinators through the end of this calendar year. 136, appointing Mary E. Hodges to serve on the Board of Health, 3-year term which expires on December 31, 2023. Can I have a motion on those?
So moved.
Second?
Council members, Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
124, approving the purchase of a 1997 Zodiac Hurricane 380 boat from the County of Somerset in the sum of $1. Motion.
So moved. Second?
Comment.
Yeah, where are we gonna store it?
I had spoken to the Assistant Chief Stitley. Temporarily, they're gonna store it in the open bay at Injury Property.
On Park Avenue? Or
No, on Main Street in Meadows.
Main Street,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's, we're gonna temporarily store it, and then they'll evaluate it after they get the engine tuned up and so forth. That's where it's going to be going.
Does it run?
I don't know that it runs. It does, Councilman Brewer mentioned, it does need some work. I did see pictures of the boat. My understanding is it doesn't need up all the space in the bay either. But that's the plan. And they're gonna train on it and hopefully apply for something more substantial in the future.
All right. Roll call.
Council members, Granville Brady,
No.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Resolution 127. Resolution of support from the local governing body authorizing participation in the 2023 Sustainable Jersey PSE&G Energy Efficiency Partnership Program. Motion.
So moved.
Second?
Comment.
Yes, I'd just like to say that this is a project the Environmental Commission will take on, energy savings on the home level. There will be opportunities for assessments, in-home assessments through PSE&G, and also for small business, Randy, so something we should talk about with DSA. It is a grant of services, not money, and they will provide a robust promotional program. So to get everybody thinking about making your home a little bit tighter for losing heat and improving the air conditioning of your home. So it'll be free to the public as well.
I have a question, is that, I get something from PSE&G comparing my house to everybody else. Is that similar to that, or that would be more of a hands-on, where they come in and check it out?
It's
Use infrared or whatever?
yeah, it's the assessment part. Yeah. But also educational information of how you can make improvements on your own too. But much of what's in your bill, just more attention to it and driving the services.
All right. Roll call.
Council members, Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Bills and vouchers. Dr. Brady.
My favorite part of the night. I move the payment of bills and vouchers in the amount of $659,098.16, and that is my motion.
Second?
Council members, Granville Brady,
Yes.
Tom Mitchell,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Move for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See you in 2 weeks.